What's up, guys? Today on Rebels Off-Road, we got these JBS clutch weights. They come with the stainless steel shims. So we're gonna check them out and get them installed in the machine and then do some testing of them.
And what type of testing are you going to be doing?
We will be doing 0 to 60, 1/8 of a mile, 1/4 mile, as well as top speed and gathering other data to compare to our previous runs without the clutch weights. So stay tuned. So right off the bat, it comes in this little plastic case. It came in a mail bag. Awesome stickers are included. You know how we like our stickers at Rebels Off-Road? These are sweet. So let's look at the weights themselves. These have apparently a ton of testing put into them.
Extensive testing. Extensive testing.
Do a little test.
It's called tested. A little bit more testing. A lot more testing. I'll help you out. There's what you need, buddy.
The guy is a bona fide mad scientist.
And they have this coating on them. They take a while to make and ship out, but we're gonna see if they're worth it. Looks nice. Got these little holes for the weights. Nice bushing pressed in there. And then you can see where the coating starts on the wear surface there. So let's see what else comes in it. Oh, a clutch spreader bolt. That's nice. These stainless steel shims. These are designed so that the weights won't dig into the sides of the clutch. Got a bunch of those. And then these are what we use for the weights. Basically a little nut and a little bolt there. Now, from what I understand, the more weight you have on it, the slower it revs up. If you have bigger tires, you want less weight. Based on what JBS said about 35-inch tires.
35's probably going to want to run 4 if you're aggressive. And you can't even, some people may even want to run 2. And a lot of it is rider preference.
So I went ahead and put a bolt in each of the lowest one. He said that would be kind of aggressive for 35s, and that's what we want. So we want those RPMs to get up there pretty quickly so the engine doesn't bog down or anything like that. So we went ahead and put one in each of the bottom ones, and we're gonna go ahead and get these installed. Okay, so just like when we changed the belt, we run down these spreader bolts that we got from Full Access UTV. So now I got my clutch spread apart.
I said spread them.
And I can go ahead and separate the spider. I already took the cage off the primary clutch, but you don't really have to do that if you don't want to, but it makes it a little bit easier to access the weights. Guess I'll do this one now. You don't want to rotate this backwards, So we're using a flat blade screwdriver to wedge in between the spiders to get the spring pressure off of the weights so then we can remove it. Edge this guy in there. Now you can see that weight is moving. So we got enough room, and so we're gonna go ahead and take off the clip on this one. We're gonna be using our snap ring pliers to remove the clip that retains the pin, and you wanna make sure not to overextend that clip because we'll be reusing them, and we wanna make sure it retains that pin once we place it back in the machine. Got this another clip off. Next, we're gonna be removing the pin, and sometimes they just slide out and you can just push them right out. And other times they need a little persuasion. And in our case, we did need a little bit of massaging of the pin. So I'm gonna tap it out. We're gonna be using a socket extension to help push that pin through the weight and out of the clutch. You don't wanna hit this sheave. Okay. And now we got this pin out, we can go ahead and pull the weight out as well. So I know there's some videos out there about comparing the weights, but I wanted to compare the JBS weights to the stock weight. I have an older machine. This is a 2021 weight, and you can see that chrome, and then you can see where the roller has been riding on. And actually, these are not in bad shape, really. If you look at it, there's no real grooving, but compared to this one, this weight looks a lot better. Also, it looks as if the profile is slightly different. This is more flat up here, and this one is more curved. So it's be interesting to see how that affects the shift out. These stock weights just don't look very nice cast, obviously, whereas these are machined. These ones are going to be a lot stronger, should last a lot longer. I'm going to go ahead and get this guy in the machine. So we got the new weight here, and we got the clutch shim. We're going to go ahead and try to slide all these in. Now these shims are directional. This side, I believe, faces out, so just keep that in mind when you're installing them. Go ahead and put the weight in the first shim in. So this might be obvious, but you want to make sure everything's lined up, the shim, the weight, and everything before you tap this pin back in, or else you'll damage the shim. So we made sure that we lined it up all really nice and carefully before we started tapping. So just to show what the proper installation should look like, you should have a shim there and a shim there, and then it should still be able to move freely. Of course, you'll need to take the spring pressure off before you can see if those weights move freely. And what those shims do is it prevents it from digging into the clutch. I'm gonna go ahead and install the snap ring on this side and move on to the next weights.
A few moments later.
So we've got the JBS clutch weights in there and the badass belt, and now we're gonna try it out. We also have the DynoJet tune still on there. So far has been the biggest improvement, so let's test out these JBS clutch weights. So if you've watched any of my other drag racing videos, you know I do not condone drag racing on the street. That is extremely dangerous, and people die every second from drag racing on the street. Oh, that's not true? Oh, well, okay. Well, people die drag racing in the United States all the time. So we're gonna be going to a different country completely to do these drag racing where no one dies. Absolutely no one can die in Mexico drag racing. Oh, people, it's still just as dangerous? Okay, well, we'll be wearing our helmets and all our safety gear to prevent injury, and we do not condone drag racing in the United States. We're gonna head over to Mexico now and conduct our testing. So unfortunately, I'm not really happy with these results. So I'm gonna be taking back apart the clutch and doing some more tuning. I'll tell you which weights I place where, and then we'll come up with the best results for our test. So stay tuned, we'll be right back.
One eternity later.
So we tried a bunch of different tunings of the weight. We tried taking out 2 of the weights completely, so we were only running 2 weights at the very heel, and that one ran a lot higher revs, and it actually ended up being slower in our test by quite a bit. So then we took those 2 weights and we put them all the way out at the very end of the weight, at the top end, and that seemed to help a little bit. However, it still was high revving and really wasn't the results that we really wanted to see. So what we ended up running and we found worked the best for our test is all 4 weights, and we put 2 at the very heel and then 2 at the next spot out. And so that's the setup that you're gonna see in these next clips, and so we're just gonna go ahead and cut right to that. Once again, we're gonna be heading over to Mexico, which just so happens to be right over there on that other side of the tree line. So lucky me. We won't be drag racing in the United States, so that's always a plus. So this is gonna be round 1 of the DynoJet Tune 35-inch tires, the Badass belt, and the JBS clutch weights. Okay, this is round 2 with the Badass belt, 35-inch tires, the DynoJet Tune, and the JBS clutch weights.
run with 2 weights on the heel and 2 weights on the next spot out from the heel. And this is also with the DynoJet tune, the Badass belt, and 35-inch tires.
Okay, so we have compiled all of our data from these runs, and now is the moment you've all been waiting for, where we are going to compare the data from our last run to this run with the JBS clutch weight. So let's get into it. Let's go to our spreadsheet here where we have compiled our different runs with the different modifications. So this is the category for our 35s, DynoJet tune, Badass belt, JBS clutch weights, which is what we just added, and the stock exhaust. I've collected the fastest times from each of these runs, and we have the 3 runs here with our ultimate setup, and then we also have our 4th run, which was with the weights at the lower end on the heel, all 4 weights. So you can tell that that didn't do as well, which is what we found. Let's go to what our net gain and loss is with our ultimate setup. So on the 60 foot, we subtracted 0.07 seconds, which was an improvement. On our 1/8 of a mile, we subtracted 0.07 seconds, which was an improvement. However, we also lost 0.15 miles per hour at that 1/8 of a mile. So on our 0 to 60, we actually gained 0.19 seconds. However, on our 1,000 foot, we only gained 0.05 seconds, and we lost 0.63 miles per hour. On our 1/4 mile, we lost 0.05 seconds, and we also lost 0.29 miles per hour. And then on our top speed, it was a wash, because we both, before we got 67 miles per hour, and with these clutch weights, we got the 67 miles per hour. So overall, not a huge change from going to these clutch weights. However, we did pick up a little bit on the low end, which is nice. We really enjoy that part of it. But from what this data kind of tells me, you're not going to have a huge performance increase by just going to these clutch weights. Now, these clutch weights are supposed to last a really long time. They are machined, which is inherently stronger than the casting process. Also, that tungsten coating should wear a lot better than the chrome coating. The chrome coating tends to kind of flake off and become actual FOD, which is debris in the clutch, whereas the tungsten coating actually kind of polishes it and becomes a better wear surface, theoretically. So no comment on how long these clutch weights will last. I'll probably end up doing an update video on the wear of these clutch weights later on once I put a bunch of miles on them. Since I don't have any testing data of them now, I really can't say how long they will last. Now, we have a bunch more videos coming up like this one. We're gonna be doing some exhaust modifications that you're gonna wanna make sure you do not miss. So the best way to make sure you don't miss it is to go ahead and smash that subscription button and ring that bell to turn on notifications. If you enjoyed this video, go ahead and give us a thumbs up. Leave us a comment down below on what weights you went with, as well as what type of tuning you did on your weights. We'd love to hear about what works for you. That's it for today's video, and we will see you next time.